Welcome, everybody. I want to introduce Mario Ortiz. Our presenter. Mario was born and raised in Mexico. He came to the United States when he was 15 years old and is the first of his family to go to college. I am too, Mario. That's interesting. He holds a Master of Education in Educational Technology. Prior to working in adult education, Mario taught second grade and fourth grade at Brownsville ISD and was a part-time reading instructor at Texas Southmost College. He also worked at Texas Southmost College for 2 years as the Director of Technology and Curriculum Innovation. Mario is currently working for Brownsville ISD in adult education and is their Microsoft Office Specialist Instructor. So Mario, I want to welcome you this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you for that awesome introduction there, Dr. Hargrove. First of all, I want to say good afternoon to everyone. I'm glad to be here today, and I want to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to share some ideas that I hope will help you in the classroom. So let's go ahead and get started with this, and let's have some fun. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be sharing some tools that I hope will help you create with your students an electronic portfolio. And you will do this with the help of Google Sites. Okay. So Google Sites, you're probably wondering, what is Google Sites? Well, in Google Sites, you can create from an e-portfolio to a website. No programming is required. With Google Sites, you can build an e-portfolio and it's free. It is a drag and drop website builder. You can create unlimited e-portfolios. Just keep in mind that you only have 15 gigabytes of storage, but that's plenty of information there. Before you start with this, before you get ready with your students, something that you need to know ahead of time is that the materials that you will be needing. First of all, you need a resume. Your students and you need a Google account. Of course, you need a computer and internet connection. Now, the lesson is going to take you more or less 90 minutes, and this is just to introduce the tools, introduce Google Site, and start working with the resume. Now, you're probably wondering, why create an e-portfolio or an online resume? And my students ask the same question too. And this is what I told them. Well, with an e-portfolio, your resume is one click away. It shows your digital literacy skills. It helps in the recruitment process, and it's a communication tool. The objectives of the lesson. I told my students, you will be learning how to use Google Sites in this lesson to build an e-portfolio based on your resume. You will use the resume that you created in the previous lesson. And let me point out something here. Before you start working with Google Sites, my recommendation is that you work first on the resume with the students. Once you have the resume, all we're going to be doing is just transferring the information from your resume to Google Sites. There's 2 recommendations on the resume. There is a couple of web builders that help you with the resume. This is one of those, resume.com. I'm going to click on this. Okay, so with this one right here, it's going to help you and your students build a resume. This is online, it's free, and sometimes we have those students that they can work alone and they can follow the steps. For those students, this is a very good recommendation here, where they can be adding by sections. They can be adding the header, the objective, the education, okay? And they can start this and then save it and then come back later on and then continue working on this. There is a section over here on the right that has a printer and a PDF. This section right here, once the students are done with the resume, they can print it out or they can save it as a PDF. And when they are here, as I mentioned before, they can come back and they can continue adding information. Like, let me just show you over here where it says objective. there's a section right here. There's a little check mark where if you click on it, it's going to guide you section by section. You can come in here and you can update the information. I'm just gonna add here number 1, so that way you can see. Okay, and then on the right, depending on what they put there, depending on what the resume is gonna be about, teacher aide, salesperson, the builder here is gonna give them some recommendations that they can use.
Wow.
I'm gonna go ahead and click, let me go ahead and just add one here just to play with it. I'm gonna, okay, notice it got added over here. I click on next, okay? And then I'm gonna click back to the dashboard. And when I click on the dashboard, notice how it's building the resume with them. So it's going step by step. If they need more sections, they can always click down here on add a section. They can rename the section, like instead of adjective, let's say that we want to name that, and just to play with it, rename it summary. And there it is. It's going to be updating the information as they go along. Okay, and as I mentioned before, they create the account and it saves all the information here. Okay, and then at the end, you can always print it out or you can save it as a PDF.
And this is free, right? They can go to this website free?
Yes, ma'am, this is free. This is what I like about this, because some of the time we find online resume builders, but then at the end when you're trying to print it out or you're trying to save it, here comes the okay, it's gonna cost you so much, right? $1, $2, I don't know. But this one is free. It doesn't cost you a penny. Another thing that you can do with your students, if you're working with a resume, okay, you can also come to Google Docs and you can create a simple template like this one, where it will have the sections here: objective, education, experience, skills, awards, interests, email. And these are the sections that we're gonna be using in our Google Sites. And you can be working with those students that need a little bit more help, and you help create the resume with them. So you can use the other ones for those, the other one for those that can work alone and they can follow steps on their own. And you can use this one right here, just a simple resume template with those that need a little bit more of help. Once you're done with the resume, now we can continue with the Google Sites, okay? So on the third bullet over here, it says they will develop enough skills to make a professional looking site. And with practice, they will become Google Sites experts, and they will. And so when we start with this, I usually give them an introduction to the Google family, because they're gonna be building this inside Google, and I want them to become familiar with this. One of the things that I want them to become familiar with is the Google Drive, because that's where they're gonna be saving all their documents, the Google site, pictures, text, everything will be saved to the Google Drive. The next thing is the Google Docs. And this is just in case they don't have that option of going to Microsoft Office. They can always use Google Docs for Microsoft Office Word. And it's basically the same thing. The only difference is that this is free. And there's always an option too there for Google Spreadsheets, Google Forms, and this is where they get to build forms if they want to collect information. Google Slides, and this is very similar to PowerPoint, and it's actually the program that I'm using right now to share this information with all of you. The famous Gmail, of course, and our main dish, Google Sites. So Google Sites, when they start building that web page, because that's basically what it is, they're gonna be able to add picture, they're gonna be able to add text, they're gonna be able to attach documents, add a calendar if they want to, and documents that they might have in their Google Drive. Now, let me go ahead and show you, before I start with this, I usually tell students, I show students, okay, what will be a finished product, so they know where are we heading with all of this.
Mario, there is a question if you wouldn't mind taking it now.
No, not at all.
Janine is asking, if you save your documents under the Google apps in Drive instead of the MS Office apps, it doesn't use your memory up on Google, correct?
That is correct. So this is what we're gonna be trying to build today. This is a Google site where we're gonna be learning how to add text. We're gonna be changing the background. We're gonna be adding text down here, we're going to be adding a picture, text over here to the right. We're going to be adding our resume. And we're going to be actually building our online resume, something like this. I always tell my students, I know that you are very, very creative, and yours is going to look much, much better than mine over here. But I'm here just to give you the tools, okay? At the end, you are the designer. So coming back to the presentation, okay? So how do we start with this? How do we build a Google site? As I mentioned before, you need a Google account. Once you have the Google account, then you need to log on to Google. When you come to Google, you're going to click on the apps. Many people, when they log into Google, they go straight to their Gmail account. It really doesn't matter. As long as you click here on the apps, this is going to take you to the Google Drive. So we click on the apps. When we click on the apps, this window is going to open with all the apps from Google. And we're going to click on the drive. When we click on the drive, this window is going to open. And we're going to click on new. We want to click on new because what are we doing with this? We are creating a folder. We don't want to be creating documents, websites, or Google sites, and then we don't want to throw that just to the drive like we usually do on the computer. We want to get organized, and we want, first of all, to create a folder. So we're going to click here on new. This window is going to open. We're going to click on folder. This window is going to open, and it's going to be asking us to name our folder. I already typed the name here. We're going to type resume. Once we type resume, then we're going to click on create. And when we click on create, we will be creating our folder. Let me show you. So I'm going to go ahead and open a tab. This is Google. I'm going to click on the apps over here. And when I click on the apps, hopefully you can see that. If you have your pictures on the right, you might not be able to see this. So when we open the window, we're going to click on the drive, and it's going to take you to your drive. Okay. These are all the folders that I have. Then, now that we're in the drive, we're going to click on new. From this window, we're going to click on folder. And then here it is. We're going to name this folder, and we're going to name it resume. Okay. You're going to hit create. I'm not going to hit create because I already created the folder. So, but you will hit create, and you will see the folder right here. So usually what I do with my students, I show them how to do this, and then I give them a minute or two so they can go online, they can create the folder, and then we continue with this. So once we do this, now we're gonna open the folder. So we're gonna go to the resume folder. We're going to double click on the folder. And then when we double click on the folder, it's going to open. Okay, because we have no information there, it's gonna be blank like this one. But we're about to add information. So we're going to right click. And when we right click, it's just anywhere inside that folder, okay? We right click. This window is going to open, very similar to the other one. But this time we're going to point to the more, okay? We're not creating a folder. So we're gonna point to the more. When we click over here or when we point, this window is going to open. And right here, you're gonna see the option for Google Sites. And we're gonna click there. When we click on Google Sites, the main page is going to open. And it's always gonna be the same one. They haven't made any changes yet to this one, okay? Let me show you.
Okay, before you do that, let's see if there's any questions.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm trying to ask a question whether anybody, I guess, in search engine in Google can find me, like, I don't know.
Oh, if you have your resume in Google Docs,
yes.
can anybody search it and find it?
Yes, or even my documents, like, I don't know, I did some slides, like PowerPoint type or some Excel, and then it could be searchable easily by anybody.
That's a good question. I honestly don't know.
Good question, Olga.
Thank you. We had a training yesterday about the copyrights and stuff like that. And so
right.
our work that we create and put, I may want to restrict some, and some I would like to be public. And so the question is whether anybody can look me up. As a matter of fact, Mario, I just found you easily, your resume. And so there's, you know.
Yeah, but is it in Google Docs?
Yes.
I went on a Google, I went on a Google site and I was just like, I didn't search him. I actually went another route. But what I'm saying is, how much of a privacy and protection can we have and regulate?
Oh, that I don't know. That would be a whole other workshop.
So in other words, anybody can see our creation, our product, and that is not copyright protected.
Yes, yes, yes. That's something that the students keep asking me, and I always tell them, anything that you put, whenever you put something online, if your computer is connected to the internet, and if somebody can use or knows how to use a computer, they will be able to access your information. So it's just something tricky with the internet. But yes, like Dr. Hargrove said, it will be another completely training on that.
Yeah, so in my drive, any document that I save of any kind, anybody can have access to it.
I can't imagine that it's an open access. I think they'd probably have to do some deep research. I can't tell you that for sure, but in all the years that I've ever searched for anything, I have never seen a return that is somebody's Google Doc unless they've shared it. You know, you can, like I sent you a link in the chat pod to Mario's slides, that these slides right here, but he had to go into those slides and give access to you to see them.
Exactly.
So I'm assuming that anything in Google Drive, you have to share, you have to give a permission for someone to see it. I can't imagine it showing up in a simple search.
Yes, and you're right about that. Once you share that information, then it's there, it's online.
Right.
That's basically what I did with the documents and the presentation that I'm doing right now. If I were to block that information, if they were trying to access the presentation, they won't be able to open it.
Right.
Mario, how do you block it?
Well, it would be in the security settings. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, like with the Google site, and I'm going to share that in a little while.
Okay, good.
Of the Google site too, how you can publish that, and it can be just inside your Google documents, or if it's published, then anyone can see your e-portfolio or your resume.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, good question there. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and create the Google site. So I'm going to come to my drive. I'm going to go ahead and open the resume folder that we just created. Okay, it's going to be empty. So I'm going to right click. Okay, then I'm going to point to more. And I'm going to click on Google Sites. And this, in a minute, we're going to be able to see the main page of Google Sites. And here it is. And we're going to start building from here. Okay, let me come back to my presentation. Okay, and of course, you'll give a couple of minutes for your students to do the same thing, open the folder and create the Google site or open it. And then we're going to start making some changes. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to select your text over here where it says your page title, and you're going to type your name. Then you're going to change the image or the background. And to do that, you're going to click right here where it says change image. When you do that, when you click on change image, you're going to have two options. One is to upload, and this is when you have a picture or an image already on your computer. And then the next one is to select or to share or look for a picture on Google. And so we will select image. When we click here, that's going to bring us to this window over here. And we have several options, but because we're starting with this, we're just going to play with the gallery. And with the gallery, you're going to get several pictures that you can select from. For this training, we're going to go ahead and select this one, the one with a laptop. Once you click on this image, then you're going to click on select. And when you click on select, okay, that picture will be added. Let me show you. Okay, so the first thing is you're going to change that to your name. If your name is longer than mine over here, you can always stretch this box by clicking on the resizing handles, and you can just stretch it like this, okay? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the image. So we're going to click right here on this list arrow. Okay, remember, if you have the picture already on your computer, you select this one, but we're going to select this one right here. Select image. And when we click, okay, if you notice the scroll bar over here on the right, you can scroll down and you can select any of the pictures from here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and select this one right here, and we're going to click select. And there it is. This is how you change the text over here and the background. Okay, let's continue with the presentation. And so, of course, you will give some time for your students to finish with this. We're going to be adding, we're going to be building more on the Google Sites. So the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you are under this tab. You have three: insert, pages, and themes. Make sure that you are under this one, the insert. You're going to click on the text box right here. And when you do, a text box will be added. This one right here. And what we're going to do, we're going to be adding this information. Since we're working with the resume, we're going to be creating, first of all, the section of the objective. And we're going to be typing this information over here. Let me show you. So I am right here. I'm going to click and make sure that you are under the insert. You're going to click on text box. Here it is. And instead of typing, I'm just going to copy that information from over here. Because if not, it's going to take me a while. And here we go. Okay. And here we have it. Okay. We added a text box and we added information here. Okay. You will give time, of course, to your students to do this. And then we're going to start changing the text. Okay. Sometimes we want some of the information to stand out. Like right here, we want objective, the title, to stand out from the rest of the text. So what we're going to do is we're going to select objective, and then this menu is going to appear. We're going to have some options right here from this list arrow to change that text. We're going to click on it, and this menu is going to open. We have several options here. Change it, and they're talking about the size. Title, heading, subheading, normal text, and small. We're going to go ahead and select title, okay? And when we select title, it's going to change to this, okay? So it can stand out from the rest of the text. The next thing we're going to do, and it's just a recommendation, you might want to add a divider. This will give the e-portfolio or their online resume a more professional look. So you might want to add a divider, okay? And when you just click on divider, okay, it will be added right there. You don't have to do anything, just click on divider, okay? The next thing that you want to do, now we're building our Google site, you want to come to the layouts. And if you have worked with PowerPoint before, you might be familiar with this, okay? On the layouts, we're gonna be playing with the first one. So we're gonna select the first layout right here, and we're just gonna click on it. When we click on it, this is going to appear on our Google site. Right here, if we want to, we can add an image, okay? And we're going to do that. We're gonna click on the plus sign, and when we click on the plus sign, this window is going to open, this menu, okay? And once again, if we have a picture on our computer, we can select upload. And if we don't, we can always search online, and we're gonna select image. When we do this, that's gonna bring us to this window. In this window, we're gonna do a search. When we select search, we're gonna enter our search right here. Because we're working with the section of education from our resume, we're gonna type education. And when we do that, we're gonna come over here. We're gonna type, after we type, we're gonna click the search button right here, okay? And it's gonna bring us here. We're gonna get several images. And for this training, we're gonna select this one that relates to education. So we're gonna click right here on the picture. It can be this one or it can be this one. And then we're gonna click select. Once we do this, a picture will be added, okay? We can crop the picture. We can select another picture if we click on the more button. So we have those options, and we can go and look for another picture, okay? But we're gonna leave this picture just the way it is, okay? Then we're gonna be adding the title over here of that section, and we're gonna be adding education, because this is a section of education. After that, we're gonna be adding information down here, which relates to our most recent education, okay? I went ahead and added this information, and I'm gonna show you in a minute how to do this. I added 2013, University of Texas at Brownsville, Master of Education in Educational Technology. You will enter that information there. You will enter the year you graduated, the school information in that degree, okay? And then you will be making a change to that because you want your text to stand out from the rest. So what I'm going to do in a minute, I'm gonna show you how to select this information right here. We're gonna click on the arrow when we see this menu, and just like we did before, we're gonna see several options. You will see these options right here, where you can select title, heading, subheading. We're gonna select subheading, okay? And then we will see a change just like this one over here. The rest of the information, you will leave it as text, okay?
Not sure if my question is making sense, but here I go. Do I need to include the online resume link on my paper resume, which I would attach to my application when I'm applying for a job online? Or do I just use that link instead of the standard paper resume for potential employees to review my resume? It's a very good question.
Yes, it is. And my recommendation is to attach your resume there. And I'm gonna get to that part in a minute, because people will be able to see your resume, but if they want to print it out, let's say that they want to, or you want them to have that option, they're gonna have a hard time trying to print out that website or that web page. And we can add it, that will be optional if you want to, and if you want to make it available, you can add it there, so that way they can print it out. And I'm gonna get to that section in a minute. So I hope I answered the question, more or less.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so we have added this text right here. So we want objective to stand out from the rest of the text. So we're gonna come to this menu, as I mentioned. We're gonna click right here on the list arrow, and we're gonna select title. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a divider. This is optional, and this is if you want your Google site to have a more professional look. You can add this right here, a divider. Okay, notice that I just scrolled down on the right, okay? There's a couple of things that you can add there, like a button. You can add documents, slides, but we're just gonna keep it with a divider. I always tell my students, let's start with the basics, and then we can move on to the rest. So from here, after we added the divider, we're gonna add a layout. And we're gonna play with the first one right here. We click on it, and this is gonna give us the option, as I mentioned before, if you have played with PowerPoint before, you add a slide there, and it gives you the option to add table, chart, pictures, same thing over here. With this one, if you click on the plus sign, it's gonna give you options, okay? To add a calendar, a map, okay? Something from the drive. We're just adding a picture. So we're gonna select right here because we want to select a picture from Google, and we're going to select image. We're going to do a search. And because this section is about education, I'm going to type education, and I'm gonna hit enter. And here it is. So I like this picture. I'm gonna use this picture right here, and I'm gonna click insert. You're gonna notice that later on, most of the things are gonna be just repetition, repetition, repetition. And that's one of the things that I like about Google Sites, okay? So we don't have to worry about programming. The next thing we're going to do is we're gonna click right here where it says click to edit text, okay? And it's already in title size. So I'm just gonna type education, okay? And then below here, I'm just gonna play with the numbers, 2017, okay? I'm gonna press enter, and I'm gonna type here, University of Brownsville, and then technology. And if you want to, usually what I do with my students, I just give them an introduction. I give them this, I give them the tools, And then I tell them, and then you can continue adding more information here, okay? Now here, you want the year to stand out from the rest of the text. And so we do the same thing that we have been doing so far with that. We select the text, we click on the list arrow, and this time we're gonna click where it says subheading. Okay, I'm gonna click outside, and this is how you start building your Google Sites, okay? Mainly what I want you to learn from here is that you start the Google site, you click on text, and you click on layouts, and you start playing with that. Start adding layouts, and then just playing with the pictures and the text. Let me come back to the presentation and let me know if I'm going too fast, okay? Or if I'm going too slow too.
No, I think you're doing fine. There's not any other questions, just some comments. Tiffany says, I use the 4 pictures when I set up my tech coach integration site so I can put all of my badges there.
Very good. Awesome. Okay, so here, let me see where I stop. You add another layout, okay? So this is below education, okay? And here, what we want to do, we want to create a pattern. When you add the first layout, like you did up here, or the way we did up here, the picture is going to be on the left. What we want to do is we want to move it to the right. And all we have to do is just click on it and then drag it to the right. It is just to create a pattern. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you that. I think, oh yes, I think I went too fast. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Google Sites and I'm gonna start building that Google site so that way you can see. But if you can notice over here on my notes, to add text and image, just repeat steps from slides 38 to 49. 38 starts with a layout, 49 adds with a divider. And it's gonna be just repetition, repetition, repetition. Let me show you. Piece of cake. Okay, so if you want to add a divider because you want to continue with that, we're gonna go ahead and click a divider right here. And then we're gonna add a layout. Remember, we're just playing with the first one. As I mentioned before, you don't wanna have all the pictures on one side only. So we're gonna create a pattern, okay? It's gonna be picture on the left, picture on the right, picture on the left, picture on the right. So to move the picture or that placeholder, we're just gonna click on it. We're gonna drag it with the mouse. Don't let go of the mouse till you see this blue vertical line. When you see it, you let go of it. And now we can add a picture. This is the section about work experience. So we're gonna look for a picture of work experience. Now, you can look online if you want to, okay? By selecting this, select image. But if you already have one on your computer, you can also do that. Let me show you. I'm gonna come over here to the upload, okay? And I'm gonna select a picture from my computer. When I click there, I'm gonna see a menu, okay? This is the picture that I'm gonna be using, work experience. This is a picture that I already downloaded from the internet. And I'm gonna click open, okay? And there it is. And that's how you add a picture from your computer. Over here on the title, we're just gonna type the same as the picture, work experience. And then you will start adding here your work experience, okay? You will type there, let me see, 2000. I'm just gonna play with the numbers here. Present, and I'm gonna type here Brownsville, ISD, MOS, or Microsoft Office Specialist. And then my responsibilities, okay? And then just like we did before, we want this information to stand out. So we click here and we select subheading. We're gonna come down here again to add another divider. And I usually leave it like this just to give the students an introduction, and then they will start copying the information that they have from the resume over here to this Google site. And so the next thing after I add the divider is the layout. I add a layout. This time I leave the picture over here on the left, and I'm going to add a picture, okay? So I'm gonna select an image. Okay, I'm gonna go and search. And this is the section about skills and languages. Okay, and I'm gonna look for a picture that relates to that. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna pick this one right here. And I'm gonna click insert. And I'm gonna type here, skills and languages. And then your students can put here, if they're working on a Microsoft Office certification, I'm pretty sure they are typing 45 words per minute. They are probably familiar with Word, with Excel, and so on and so forth, right? I'll leave it like this, like I did with the other one. Remember, we're just giving students an introduction so they can keep working on this. Then the next thing, I'm going to add another layer. And as I mentioned before, mainly it's gonna be repetition, repetition, but they're gonna love this. Okay, I'm gonna move the picture again to the right. Remember, I need to see that vertical line. There it is. And this is going to be the section about the awards or certifications that they have received. So I'm gonna click on select image. I'm going to search and I'm gonna type awards. So I'm gonna select this one right here, okay, just to play with it. And I'm gonna click insert, okay. If the picture doesn't show all the way like mine, you can always stretch this from here just a bit. There we go. And then we can type over here, awards. And then believe it or not, sometimes students are like, Mr. Ortiz, I don't know what to put there. And I tell them, have you received any awards for perfect attendance? And they're like, should I put that there? And I tell them, of course. When you submit this in your resume, what do you think they're gonna be saying about you or thinking about you? Perfect attendance, I won't have any issues with it, with this employee with absences, because notice, he's bringing a perfect attendance award. So I always encourage them to add information that they might think that is not important, but it is. So we can start with this, of course. Then it's going to be another divider, and we're almost done with this. Let me see, another layout. And this is where you probably want to type here, hey, I would like to hear from you. And this is where you will probably add your email, okay? In my case, it will be right there. And you'll probably want to add a picture that has to do something with an email. So let's go ahead and select an image for that. Right here on search. And let's look for email icons. Let me see, I'm gonna select this one right here. And I'm gonna click insert. That one looks nice. Of course, I'm gonna stretch the picture just a bit. There we go. And so this is basically what you will give your students. This is a live document that they're gonna be working on. As I mentioned before, it might take you 90 minutes to give them the tools, but not to complete the product, okay? It's gonna take them time. This is something that is gonna go with them because they're probably gonna be adding more information. Now, we're not done with this, okay? Not yet, okay? You might want to add something else to this, okay? Because it looks too plain, too white. So if you want to add background color or a picture to the sections, you can do that. If you come over here, notice to my left, there are 3 icons. I'm gonna click on the first one and I'm gonna get options here. I'm gonna go ahead and select emphasis 2 and notice what it's going to do. I'm gonna scroll down to the next one, education. I'm gonna click again there. And this time I'm going to select emphasis 1. And I tell my students, what you want to do, once again, you want to create a pattern, okay? So you will come back to this one and you will select the first one, emphasis 2, okay? The next one, it will be emphasis 1. And then you scroll down, okay? Emphasis 2. And then the last one over here, emphasis 1. Now, the beauty about this website is that you don't have to know programming when it comes to displaying information on a computer, tablet, or telephone. Back in the days, you had to know how to program that, okay? Because if you program something like this on a computer, and then somebody will open it on a tablet or a smartphone, the pictures and the text, everything would move. But there's an option here. Right here, it's the preview. And it's gonna give you a preview of how the information is going to be displayed on either of those devices. So I'm gonna click here on preview. And the first preview that you're going to see is this one from a computer or a laptop. Okay, so if you scroll down, looks nice, okay? Still work in progress. This will be from a computer. How about from a tablet? If you notice the menu down here, okay, the next icon over here, this one, this is a tablet. So I'm gonna click here, and this is how your information is going to look on a tablet, right here.
Mario, when you're done showing the different options, can you show where you get to that option again to show the preview?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And somebody else wants to know how to change the color of the emphasis.
Oh, okay, okay. Yes, of course.
Thank you.
So this will be the preview from a smartphone. And so that way you'll get a view of how people are going to be viewing your information. Let me go ahead and close this preview option. And once again, if you want to preview that information, you will come over here to this button over here. I don't know if you can see it. You have the undo, you have the redo, and then the next option, that's the preview, okay? Right now, this is just in your Google. You haven't shared this information, so people cannot find you yet because you haven't published this. Regarding that question of how to change the color, if you come to the sections, like this section right here, when you point to it or when you hover, you're gonna see 3 icons on the left. The first icon, that's the one you use to change the colors. Now, not only can you change colors of background, but you can also add an image. Let me click over here when I'm gonna point to image, and remember, if you have one image already on your computer, you can use the upload, or you can select an image. Let me show you. So I'm going to select an image. Okay, we come again to the gallery, and I'm gonna select the first one just to play with it. I'm gonna go ahead and click select, and there it is. You might want to create a pattern. You might want to add the same picture over and over, okay? So I'm gonna come over here to the next section. Once again, select image and select the first one, okay? And so you are creating a pattern, okay? Of course, at the end, like I tell my students, you are the designers. I'll just give you the tools, but it's all up to you and your imagination, okay? Now, my students were asking me, Mr. Ortiz, if I want to share this resume with one employer, but I want to create my own portfolio where I will be adding classes that I will be taking later on, how can I do that? And I tell them, you can always build another Google site, and on that one, you can add pages. Right now, we only have one page. To add pages, you come over here. Notice that we have the insert. We have, let me get that, well, yes, the insert, and then we got the pages over here, and then the themes. If you click on pages, right now, you only have one page. But over here at the bottom, if you can see, there's a plus sign. And if you click on the plus sign, another page will be added. The first thing that Google Sites is going to ask you is, what would you like to name that page? Let's go ahead and type there, about. So we type about, and then we click done.
I honestly never knew you could do that kind of stuff with it. I haven't, you know, been a Google follower, but I tell you, in the last couple of days, I've really found a good use for it. So I realized in one session that my grandson was at the poverty level with what he's making. And so now I might show him this one on how to make a better resume using Google Sites. And, you know, I was thinking one more thing this shows is digital literacy. It shows the employer that you have some technology skills because you've done this on Google. You've done this on the internet and using your computer. So I find that interesting.
Yes, and I'm almost done with the presentation. The next thing that I wanted to show them is how to publish this if they want to and when they are ready to publish it. Yes, click on the apps.
Uh-huh.
And you're going to have to go to your drive and then just create a folder.
Well, yes, I've got a big drive.
Yeah, you see where the new button is on the left?
Uh-huh.
Right there. Click on folder. Yes, and you can name it resume or practice.
Okay.
Yes.
Create.
Awesome job there. And then your folder, you see that one, the new one? Open it. Yes, that one. Hey, very good.
I'm learning.
Yes, right click right there, right click.
Okay.
Go to more. And then click on Google Sites.
Okay.
Very good. Let's give it a second or two. You notice that button right there next to your picture that says publish? On your right-hand side?
Yes, right here.
Yes. Let me see. Can you add? You might want to add your name there. There you go. There you go.
Let me just say test site. There we go. It's enough information to hit publish.
Very good.
It just hit publish.
Yes, and then right here, they're gonna have Google is going to give them a URL or a web address, if you notice below that text box, it says HTTPS, and then at the end, it has a /.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's pending information from you. That
Okay.
you want to type there, let's type Ortiz 123. That's my last name.
Okay.
So we're not going to do anything, okay? Don't do anything.
Okay.
Just, it will tell you if it's acceptable, if nobody's using this, and if you hit publish, then it will be published. But if
Okay.
you don't want to publish this, okay, you don't have to publish it.
Okay.
And if you want to publish it, there's always options in the middle. You see where it says, who can view my site?
Mm-hmm.
It says anyone. So you can manage from there. Who can view your site? Yes. If you only send it to one person, that will be the only person that will be able to see your site. Okay, or you can make it available to anyone. So
Okay.
again, it's up to you.
Okay.
And that was it.
And then you just click publish.
If you want to publish, yes.
Right.
But if you don't, yes, you will cancel.
Okay.
That was the last part that I wanted to show.
Wonderful.